Hey, Aaron. Hey, Lieutenant. First of all, I wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to work on this project. This is the kind of thing I do every day. I'm not sure what Aaron's told you, but I used to be a teacher, but now I'm the title is tech facilitator. Basically, I'm in charge of all the technology in the building. So we have a device for every one of our 2,600 students and every one of our 160, 170 staff members. So my job is to kind of manage all the technology, train people on how to use this, and then I run a lot of the programs behind the scenes. And what you guys are getting into is exactly what I do on a regular basis. But as I've talked to both of you and kind of looked at things, I realized that you guys don't really have a concept of what I'm thinking about. So I figured you guys are probably more visual, and this will probably be more helpful to see it and kind of get an idea of the direction I was going to go. So I put together this video for you guys real quick just to kind of walk through the workflow and what I'm thinking and to get some feedback and to kind of get the dialogue started. So to start, the first thing we're going to start with is this form. This is what your staff members will see, up front. This is what they will fill out. This is a Google form. It is free. All of the tools that I'm going to show you are free, which is beautiful. Basically, the form is to gather information. So if they go through it, if you notice there's a little asterisk on all these questions. These are required questions. And this is a key point to think about. As you go through this form and critique it, what questions are you requiring people to answer versus which ones do you not need them to answer? My rule with forms is very simple. If you don't want them to mess it up, don't give them a chance. And forms are great for gathering information because they have very little wiggle room. So for example, you notice this first question here is a date question. This puts it in a date format. This doesn't allow them to say Tuesday of last week or something that is not what we want them to gather. So as you go through this, look at these questions and say, what kind of information am I going to get? What kind of things is this going to produce? And what can I do with it? So as users go through the form, if I try to submit, you're going to see it's going to say, hey, you forgot to give us a number. You forgot to give us a location. And what I did was I basically took your guys' document and turned it into a Google form. Now, the beauty of forms and why I use them on a daily basis. Think of the old show Married with Children, that theme song, Love and Marriage. You can't have a form without having this spreadsheet. So every time a form is submitted, and this is a kind of a different version of it, but every time a form is submitted, it becomes a row in a spreadsheet. Once it is a row in a spreadsheet, we can do something with it. I can create charts, we can look at data, you can do all kinds of really, really cool stuff with it. Now, what I'm envisioning is your users complete the form and you get your spreadsheet. Now, this can be ugly to look at. As you can see, this is not the most user-friendly thing to look at. So what I can do that's very cool is I can create a database for you. And you can search for let's say, an incident number or a location or whatever we decide. But let's say I do KI. Right there, you notice my list went down very quickly, and I'm able to put a button in. Now, my wife always calls this the matrix, and that's why I had to put this GIF here. What I'm able to do that's really cool is I'm able to take what is submitted here in the form and generate a document. So this would be an example of something from a couple years ago. So basically, that row in the form, each row becomes a document. And everything that is filled out in the form gets filled in under the proper heading. So I'm able to code all of this. So what you'll end up with is a database of all of your incidents. Now, let's say there's multiple incident or multiple submissions per incident. Great, you can see all of those contacts or all of those forms. And then what you're able to do is you're able to print those off, you're able to share them with other staff members, and for training purposes and review purposes, you now have a much prettier document that is formatted the way you want it, and it allows everybody to see it in a way that's easy to understand. The great thing, though, is on the back end, we have that spreadsheet that contains all of this data. This data, then, we can do charts and do all kinds of cool stuff with behind the scenes. So my task for you guys is I've included the link to the form. I've given you guys the rights to this document. basically go through the form and nitpick it. Try to break it. Try to find areas that are going to cause hangups or cause confusion or cause an issue. So, for example, if you notice, I did this as a date, and it requires a date. I did this as a time type format. You have to look at where there's going to be issues. For example, one I already see is this weather question. Right now, I set it to check all of apply. For data purposes, this is going to be a nightmare because what it does is it puts all of these together into one cell, and it's a little bit harder to work at. So it's a matter of if you really care about the data or not. Because once it's in there, we can do something with it. It's just a matter of thinking along those terms. So what I want you to do is just go through this form. Once you've answered all the questions, I'm going to do this so you can see it. We will say AM 7:30, location, random text, next, and you go through each page of this. And I tried to break it up by section to make it very, very clear for you guys. But what I want you to do is go and look for where there's potential issues. All right, and what you can do is just simply type in this document. You do not have to send this document to me. You don't have to send it to Aaron. You don't have to send it to Lieutenant, nobody. Because I've sent you the link to the document, you have the edit rights, you just simply leave your notes. And then what I can do is I can go through and leave comments, make some changes, and we can start a dialogue in this document instead of trying to send 500 emails. So this should get us started. If you have questions, please email me. Please contact me. What I'll do is I'll put my email address and phone number in here. Don't hesitate to reach out. And then things to think about moving forward. One of the things that we do a lot of is we think about the security of the data. Being in a school, we have laws. The medical field has the HIPAA. We have what's called FERPA, and we have to protect our data. So one thing to think about this is, you've got this form and you've got this dashboard, and now you have this database of these incidents and what's going on. You have to think about who has access to it, how much access do people have, do you care or do you not? Lots of things to start to think about. You don't have to have the answers today, but it's always good, I always find, to get people at least cognizant and thinking about what people want to see and what they want to do. So if you have a question, please ask. This is what I do. I do this for people I don't know all the time, so it's always awesome when I get a chance to do it outside of what I normally do and get to help people that I know. I've seen the power of this stuff. It can really make a good change. So if you have questions, let me know. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.